Give me room. That was not supposed to happen. Ah, my bad. Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? So today we're going to be talking about the most recognizable, iconic superhero that you know, I know, Superman.
Superman! What is going on out there?
Don't look, just fly.
But we're only going to be talking about the live-action movie Superman. If you want me to talk about the TV show ones, I will do that in a future video. Just let me know in the comment section below. So only for part one, we're only going to talk about Christopher Reeve's Superman, since he has 4 movies, which is crazy, by the way, for Superman nowadays. But for part 2, we're going to talk about Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill.
Well, here is an S. How about
Excuse me.
And David Cornsweet.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Without further ado, let's go! So before we get into Christopher Reeve's Superman movies, we're going to talk about what Superman is and what he stands for to people. So hey, I know a lot of you already know who Superman is and what he stands for and all that stuff. The people in the back do not know, and I gotta let them know. So relax, bear with me. Superman stands for truth, justice, in the American way, and then he also stands for what we hope the world could be like one day, and what we hope that humans could stand to be in this cruel. But in one of Superman's most brutal battles against Doomsday in a comic book, it was shown all over the news that Superman had died.
This is about to close the book on one of its legendary heroes. Jeannie, most reports, can it be true? Superman will die November 18th at the hands of a villain named Doomsday?
Which is crazy, by the way, which is actually wild. They talked about it so much like he was a real person, even though he wasn't. And I think that shows how big Superman is. Because have you seen Batman on news dying? Cyborg? Flash? They died many times. Have you seen it? No. Exactly. And also, I gotta talk about you comic fans who killed off Jason Todd. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Count your fucking days. Even though you gave us amazing character as in Red Hood, but I gotta say, y'all are some cruel people. Y'all are some real fucked up people. Y'all need help. And I would just like to mention 3 of Superman's most iconic moments, in my opinion, that you'll probably heard of multiple times, or you may have not heard. Obviously, I have to talk about one of the most influential and iconic moments is where Superman helps a girl stopped from jumping off a building. It's one of his more powerful moments in the comics that helps probably so many people when they're in dark times to even read that and to see Superman speaking to her probably feels like it's speaking to you as well. And it's just one of the best moments that I've seen in comics from Superman, period, point blank. It has to always be talked about. It has to always be mentioned because it is the best, and it shows who Superman is and what his character means to people. And another comic another comic made by Grant Morrison's Superman action comic. Another comic by Grant Morrison, Action Comics 11. Superman fought a big monster and destroyed an entire neighborhood. And instead of flying off like some superheroes would do, he had decided to stay and help rebuild the town, which I think is a good moment. It's a small moment because, you know, a lot of superheroes do that, but it's something to show that, like, he cares and that he just doesn't just destroy villains and then fly off, you know? Another one of his iconic moments has been told time and time again is this dream speech from Superman versus the Elite. During the movie, it leads to Superman being pushed to the absolute limit by the Elite, and he has to kill all of Manchester's Black's crew. Manganee, Hat, and last but not least, Cold Cast. It was all there was to show Manchester Black the error of his ways and prove a point. Let's not go past the point where he told him that he gave him a lobotomy. He didn't. He just kind of shut down his powers for a second, but that's crazy to tell a person that hey, I gave you a fucking lobotomy, by the way. Like, you don't have powers anymore now, because I cut a piece of your brain out. It's crazy. After a long conversation with each other and explaining what he did, he gave him this.
You think that's it? It's not over, you punsy twit! If you think I'll just go to jail and rot, you're living in a dream world!
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
Now that that's all out of the way, the moment we're here for, Christopher Reeve's Superman. Now, with all the glaze, I gotta say, to get 4 movies of Superman, you gotta be pretty good. I'm just saying. And, you know, the movie studio, I get it. You know, that's not, you know, never mind. Now, with all the glaze, I gotta say, this movie is visually beautiful. It is, for a movie that came out for that time, it's pretty beautiful. Like, take a look at these scenes, bro. I mean, they're not gorgeous, bro. I can't get enough of them. But I gotta say, he's gotta be proud of himself up in heaven for being the only Superman to have 4 movies, bro. 4. That's crazy nowadays, because Supermans don't even make it past 1, which is it's insane. But it's like, come on, bro. We gotta clap it up for him. Superman 1, we were getting the movie with Jor-El on Krypton in a courtroom getting ready to put General Zod and his entire crew in the Phantom Zone. And God, I gotta say, Lord have mercy. Oh my God, look at that woman. Well, you know, moving on. Whatever she did, she didn't do it. She didn't do it, bro. And I also gotta say, these elders are stupid, bro. Jor-El is telling them that the world is ending, that they're like, we're done, we're cooked, we're fried, we need to find somewhere else to go. And they say, nah, it's just a little problem, it's just a little earthquake, you know, we're fine. Okay. And then a couple minutes later, they all die. Lord have mercy. But Jor-El and his wife have no choice but to send Kal-El in a crystal ball type of thing. Around the world, around the world. It's a little weird looking chip, I'll tell you that. They send him to Earth because that's the only inhabitable planet that Superman can survive on. And you know, he obviously lands with Martha and John Kent, but in a kind of a weird way. We see I don't even want to talk about it. Why am I talking about it? We see some things I don't want to see when he gets out of the ship. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we see that, and then they finally Martha convinces him to take the baby home and take care of it and raise it. And they do end up raising Clark Kent to be an amazing young man. They got this man running like the Roadrunner in one scene, which is crazy, bro. Just like, you'd see him running, it's so hilarious. Fast forward to where John Kent died, and we see Martha and young Clark at his funeral, and this is just visually beautiful. I cannot get past this. Oh my god, they make this very beautiful, very, very beautiful. We go to where Clark Kent has decided it's time for him to go and see the world and make a life for himself, and he hugs and embraces Martha Kent before he leaves. Then we see him fly off to the Antarctica to go make the Fortress of Solitude. Then they give us a look. Once he makes the Fortress of Solitude, they give us a little weird kind of montage to where he's now an adult. I kind of like that very much. Honestly, it was kind of like a weird little thing. You could have shown like some little montage of him, I guess, growing up. I don't know what they could have done with that, but that was just kind of weird to me. I don't know. I didn't like that very much. But anyways, we'll fast forward again to where Clark Kent is now an adult, and he's going to Daily Planet, and we finally see Lois Lane, played by Margaret Kidder, and then we see Perry White. Hi, future Zach here. I made a big oopsie. So on the Perry White part, it got cut off because my mic got muted. So Perry White was played by Jackie Cooper. Margaret Kidder plays Lois Lane. Christopher Reeves obviously plays Superman. And Mac McCurr plays Jimmy Olsen. Sorry about that. I apologize. Now back to the video. After a little while in the movie, we finally get our first scene with Lex Luthor, Otis, and Miss Teschmacher. We get Lex Luthor's played by Gene Hackman, and Otis is played by Ned Beatty. And then we have Miss Teschmacher played by Maria Perry. I'm hoping I'm saying her name right, because I'm not good at names. I'm sorry. I apologize. She really liked Lex Luthor's character. He's one of the best Lex Luthors I've seen in a very long time. And we've gotten some bad Lex Luthors, some very bad Lex Luthors. Hoping the new Lex Luthor is a good one. We'll have to see when that movie comes out, because at this time it hasn't came out. So we'll get to him later. I think this is one of the best Lex Luthors I've seen in a while. I think he's one of the best Lex Luthors to ever do it. And I think no one will ever top him. Maybe. I don't think anyone will ever top him. You gotta really put in some work to top him. The only one I think that could even rival him is the one from Superman and Lois. That man was a demon. That man was on straight demon time. He didn't care about nothing but taking out Superman. And I love that about him. But, you know, if y'all want to see me talk about that whole show, like, put in the comment section. Put in the comment section if you want to see that, because right now, I'm not talking about that. Moving on. We finally see Superman's first save where a helicopter gets taken down and Superman has to save Lois Lane. And I think that is one of the best, I will say, is up there with one of the best Superman saves in these movies. I think that it's very much up there. It's the very first Superman save, and it's very well done. Very, very well done. You know, he says instead of, and in this scene right here, just puts the icing on the cake.
Gentlemen, this man needs help. Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.
Right. Rafe! Who are you?
A friend. Bye.
Also love the Superman and Lois scene where Lois invites Superman to his house for an interview. That is one of the, I guess, best scenes of the movie. I mean, obviously, I don't like this Lois Lane that much because of the fact that she only likes Superman and not Clark Kent. I like the Lois Lanes where they like Clark Kent first before they like Superman. This is just kind of, I don't know what to fuck with that. And like, she just ignores Clark Kent. Every advance he just tries to make is just denied. Until he shows her that she's Superman, she doesn't give a fuck about him, which is kind of, I hate that. I do hate it. But I liked the actress who played Lois Lane in the movie. She was great, and I think she's one of the best for sure. Even though they kind of did her character dirty with the last few movies. We'll get to those later. We'll get to those later. But this Lois interview with Superman scene is one of the best. When they're flying together, you can just tell. And then after he lands, he's just like sitting there, like in awe. I was just sitting there in awe, like, oh my god, this man just took me flying. Like it's just like I don't know whether it's Superman as Clark Kent. Do you take Lois Lane liking you as Superman as a win, or do you take that as a loss? Genuinely, I don't know whether to take that as a win or a loss. I mean, you got the girl, but at what cost, though? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's weird. We get off topic. We get later into the movie where Lex Luthor explains his diabolical plan, where he wants to take out the majority of the state of California so that he can rebrand it as his own, which is kind of crazy. It's like, I don't think that's gonna work, buddy. I don't think the U.S. government is gonna allow you to take over California. I don't think they're gonna let that happen, especially Superman. Like, come on now, be real with yourself. Be real with yourself. But I think, and he actually does it. He actually damn near does it. He causes a whole catastrophe that almost kills Jimmy Olsen, and does kill Lois Lane, which is crazy. They killed Lois Lane in the first movie, and I like how when Superman finds her, it's impactful to see him just do a whole scream and just rage out. I thought he's finna go after Lex. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he's finna go straight after Lex, but he didn't. He turned back time to be there sooner so he could save Lois, which is a better option. Definitely a better option than what I thought they were going. I'm not gonna lie, it's a way better option, and it was very impactful, very beautiful. I liked. I don't think a Superman movie has done that in like at all ever. Actually, only the other Superman has ever done that, like going back. Well, live action form, of course. I don't think that every Superman's ever gone all the way back in time to save the girl that they love, and it's like for him to save her, even though she doesn't love the real him, it's still so impactful, and it's just great. It's just great to see that. And we're going to talk about the scene where Miss Teschmacher saves Superman, but only if he saved her mother first, which was very good for him to do, and he kept his promise and saved her mom. I love that about Superman, regardless of who else, he puts other people first. And he puts Miss Teschmacher's mother first, rather than saving Lois and Otis first. And I really like that. I really like that, even though it's kind of sad. I really like that. I really like that he did that. And that was great. Great choice in doing that. Clap it up for yourself. But obviously Superman saves the day, saves Lois, saves Otis, and he takes. This is I think one of the funniest, unironically funniest scenes in the movie. He takes Lex Luthor to prison, and the guard's like, "Who are these people?" Lex Luthor rips off his toupee. It says, "I am Lex Luthor, the greatest mind of this generation."
Good evening, Warden. I think these two men should be safe here with you now so they can get a fair trial.
Who is it, Superman?
Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our time. Of our time? I hereby serve notice. He's serving notice to you. That these walls here. Will you shut up, please? You.
All right, take them away, boys.
You don't hear me now. Guards.
Like, why did you do that to yourself? And like, Otis's face is just like the funniest thing ever. Otis is just like, what? You're bald? But it's just like, the only thing I didn't like about this moment is that like later in movies he just keeps the hair on. I wish he would have just been completely bald after this. I was just genuinely completely bald, but he didn't. And I kind of didn't like that. But you know, moving on, he goes to prison, and then the movie ends with Superman flying into space in beautiful fashion, and the beautiful theme plays. Can't get enough of it. Hello again. Sorry, I did another oopsie. I didn't put in the rating I gave for this movie, and I gave the rating for this movie an 8.5, I think. I can't exactly remember. I don't know why it's not in the video, but I thought it was there. But hopefully you never have to see me again. I'll see you guys. Love you. Moving on to Superman 2. I think this is one of the rare cases where the second movie is better than the first one. Like, legit. Like, legit. This movie is just like, I feel like, in my personal opinion, better than the first one. The scenes with General Zod, Ursa, and Non are just the funniest, and I think the best scenes of the movie, in my opinion. I feel like they really portrayed General Zod very well. He's very commanding, very menacing. He's very, very General Zod-y. I don't know the best way to say it, but that's just how I say it. He's very General Zod-y. Zod-y. Oh my god. General Zod being played by Tara Stamp, Sarah Douglas Ursa being played by Sarah Douglas, and then Non being played by Jack O'Harnell. Some of y'all got some weird names, man. I just genuinely can't say them. I'm sorry. I apologize, bro. I apologize. But anyways, we get more focused on Lois Lane in this movie. A lot more focus on Lois Lane in this movie, and I do like the scenes where we do have Lois and Clark as well. But it also feels like Clark is just too desperate at times to make Lois like him the way he likes her, and I just feel like I'm glad they strive away from it in the later movies, thank God. But like, it's just, this one just seems a little just too much. And he's like, obviously most of this movie entirely is conflicted with showing Lois who he is. He eventually does, and then we'll get to what happens in a later movie, but you know, but I just don't like that Clark is so head over heels for Lois the entire movie. He's just in love with this girl that does not feel the same way that he does, and it's just sad to see. It's a person who has felt the same way about a woman. It ain't worth it, Clark. It ain't worth it. Even though she kind of likes Superman, which is like, I guess, a win. But she, but she doesn't notice the real you. She only likes you for Superman, not you. And it's just like, like, bro, let it go. Oh my god. But anyways, we get introduced to General Zod, Ursa, and Non in the middle of the movie, and it's got to be one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a Superman movie. like Ursa just rips off a patch off one of the astronauts and proceeds to punt him into outer space like a fucking soccer ball. Then we get to General Zod, where he is just toying with the second astronaut and just flings him in outer space. And then we got Non just being Non. Like, bro just grabs the last astronaut, tries to fly off, obviously, because he's scared for his life. I would be scared for my life. But like, bro just couldn't get away, man. Non got him. But like, hey, Ursa, bro. God damn. What I would give to be in this time.
Stop it. Get some help.
What I would give just to meet out, she could throw me in outer space, please throw me, please, Ursa, throw me in outer space. I'm sorry, I'm fiending. Ursa's so bad. And I actually like how we go back to prison with Lex Luthor, and he's actually bald. Don't worry, it won't be for long. I don't know why they gave him hair back. That's the only thing I don't like about Lex Luthor's characters in these movies, is that he just wears hair. I like it when he's bald. The fact that he took off the toupee in the first movie should have been the symbol to where he's done wearing it. I don't like that he just constantly put the hair back on, and it's just like, he's the best Lex Luthor, I'll give him that, but it's just like, I don't want to see haired Lex Luthor. I want to see bald Lex Luthor. That is what I want to see. But you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And then I also like the scene in Niagara Falls where Superman saves the little boy from jumping into the Niagara Falls. That was just kind of like crazy. Because it's like, my thing is, where the fuck are your parents? They're not even watching their kid, bro. Like, in a little bit earlier in the scene, he got on top of the railing. On top of the railing. He was just up there. His parents weren't doing anything to help. Nothing. Nada. Not watching your damn kids. And bro fell into Niagara Falls. I'm like, oh my god. Your parents suck. What? Like, stop him. Anyways, moving on from that, Lex Luthor goes to the Fortress of Solitude and finds out about General Zod and his crew, and he wants to prepare for them to come because he doesn't want to. He thinks he found like some type of allies against Superman, even though they really don't like this man at all. Like, you are going to team up with Kryptonians that don't like Superman and don't like humans. How do you think it's gonna work out for you, buddy? Not very well. And then I also like the scene where Lois decides to jump in the river because she obviously knows Superman. She thinks Clark is Superman. I also like the scene where Clark saves Lois in a very creative way without revealing himself as Superman, and I very like that. But it's like destroyed a few minutes later when they go back to the hotel and he trips in the fire and he doesn't have a burn. I gotta say, this is like the only scene that I just genuinely don't like. He tripped into the fire. It like, everything you just did to prove that you're not Superman is just destroyed in the next like 5 minutes. Like, come on, bro. Then later in the movie, we go back to Ursa, Non, and General Zod finally made it to Earth. Ursa kind of plays with a snake. The snake bites her, and then she just incinerates the snake. Just burns it alive.
Primitive sort of life form.
I also like the scenes where Non is having performance trouble, where he can't use his laser vision like at all. Like, he's just constantly trying to use it and it won't work. It's kind of funny. I like how they made Non just a comedic goof, like a muscle of sorts, just the muscle of the team. He has no. He's all brawn, no brains. I kind of like that. about him. and we move on where they're like walking down a road and they start bullying cops, like legit just bullying. Like we're just like for the next like 20 minutes of the movie, we're just watching Ursa, Nan, and General Zod just bully people. Like they're just big bullies. They're not even supervillains really. They're just big bullies to the entirety of this small little town. They're just bullies. They're just bullying cops, bullying army men, bullying people.
Teeth. Get up.
Wow!
Damn!
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
I also like that General Zod also has the syndrome finger. I don't know where they get that from, but they just have the syndrome finger. If you know what I'm talking about. Like you can't tell me that's like the Incredibles definitely took that from Superman 2, 100%. Like the Superman finger, are you kidding me? Like is the like that's definitely the syndrome little finger thing that freezes people. That's crazy. That's crazy. I like did not see the parallels till now. I genuinely didn't notice it till now. That's crazy. And then we also get like a goofy scene with the army men, and General Zod has them go through an entire building and come out the other side. Oh, that was funny. Like this was genuinely like a good fun time to me. I enjoyed watching General Zod just bully humans. I just enjoyed watching that. That was just so fun. It was so fun. I like when movies have fun, and this was fun. This is great. Then we also go later and we find out Superman cannot be with Lois unless he gets rid of his powers. And I think this is where the movie is kind of like, why did you get rid of your powers for a woman who doesn't love you for real? But it's just like, okay, I guess. And Superman decides to get rid of his powers, and Lois and him get it on. They start cracking.
Ew, you nasty ass bastard! You fucking nasty ass motherfucker! That's nasty, man!
He start cracking cheeks. Lois Clark getting it. Okay, let me stop. Moving on from that front. After, Lois get done cracking, Superman and well, I guess, should I say Superman now? Superman and Clark? I'll just say say Clark. Clark and Lois go to a diner where they encounter this guy that hits on Lois and won't get out of Clark's seat. Clark stands up and he's about to fight him, but then he tells the guy, let's take this outside. Clark unknowingly gets snuck. This man sneaks Clark Kent and just knocks him to the ground, and then Clark gets back up and tries to fight him again, but like he just kind of stands there and just lets him punch him in the stomach and knock him out. Like, why did you just stand there? Like, fight back. Fight back, Clark. What are you doing? And this is where we see that Clark Kent does not know how to really fight for real. I said what I said. Oh, poor Clark. But go back to General Zod, where he has taken over the White House. And he's taken over the House. Before they go to the White House, though, they deform the Mount Rushmore and put their faces on it. How you gonna do Abraham Lincoln like that, bro? How you gonna don't do the goat like that, bro? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Put that back. Put that back. How you do Abraham Lincoln like that, brother? Like they got some, but they be giving these people some weird powers. Like how do they do that? I've never seen General Zod be able to change something out of thin air. I mean, I guess the laser vision can do it, but anyways, he goes to the White House and he does a hostile takeover, and they just like mollywop all those guards, like just dismantle all of them, and it's done in the funniest way possible. And I just love this movie, man. It's so campy, it's so funny. It's funny when it's trying not to be, and I like that. like that about this movie. I like the campiness and the funniness about this movie. It's just so great. I love this. I could watch this again, honestly, multiple times. But anyways, going back to the diner, Superman sees them on the news where they took over the White House, and he decides he needs to go get his powers back because now he has a reason to go get them back. And so he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude and gets his powers back, goes to the White House. But before we get back to Superman, Lex Luthor pulls up to the White House, tells General Zod and his crew that he knows how to get Superman and he knows who he can get to Superman, and they immediately go to the Daily Planet and they start wrecking shop. I ain't gonna lie, but there's just one little bit in the scene where they take over the Daily Planet. A guy just throws like a box at Non, and like I'm just like, what was that planned? Was that supposed to happen? Was he supposed to do that? Was he supposed to throw the box at Non? I've seen, and also I kind of noticed this movie's really sponsored by Marlboro. Superman movie sponsored by cigarettes is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little wild. But then eventually Superman pulls up and he says, "Hey, come outside. I ain't gonna jump." But then eventually Superman pulls up and he says, "Hey, come outside." And you know the villain's finna jump Superman. Immediately he gets jumped by Ursa and Non. And it's kind of a fun scene where you're just watching Superman eventually fight all three of them at once. And I like that. And I like that they're overpowering him and he eventually just gets beat and is tossed under a bus. And this is where I figured out that this movie is sponsored by Marlboro when he gets knocked into a truck that has Marlboro all over it. And then he knocks General Zod into a Coca-Cola screen. Which is that's how you do an ad. That's how you do an ad there. But just break the ad. That's how you do one. That's how you do it. I'll give him that. That was kind of funny. But then eventually Superman just flies off and General Zod and his crew just go back. General Zod and his crew just go back to bullying humans. Just giving them a big like it's just and you just see everyone just tumble over things and just fall down. It's so funny. I love this movie. You just see the humans, like this entire movie, Zod and his crew are just bullying humans, just genuinely bullying them, and it's like it's funny, and I love it. I cannot say that enough. But we go back to the Fortress of Solitude where Zod and his crew follow him, where they capture Lois, and they also have Lex Luthor with them. And then they end up fighting, but then Superman ends up pulling a game plan out of Loki's playbook.
He copied my whole fucking flow!
He makes infinite amounts of himself, which is crazy. How you gonna do that to Loki, bro? That's fucked up. But then they eventually end up figuring out the real Superman is, and he blocks all their syndrome beams and knocks them out. And then Lois just kicks Ursula through the cracks of the Fortress of Solitude. She just gives her a little kick and just pushes her down like, what? But then later it gets to where Lois is under pressure and like Ursa has her hand around Lois's neck. They say they would kill him they said they would kill Lois, but he found out and he tried to sneakily tell Lex, "Hey bro, I got a way to beat them." And Lex is like, Lex being the rat he is and the hater he is, just for the love of the game, this man says, hey, he did that. He got it right there. Like, bro, you're a snitch, Lex. But it's okay. We love Lex though. Lex Luthor, love you, brother. But Superman ends up tricking them instead. So he reverses it to where it takes away General Zod and his crew's powers away, and now they're powerless. After them thinking Superman loses his powers, General Zod tells them to bow. He tells Superman to kiss his hand. Superman grabs it and then just crushes his hand to oblivion. And General Zod just lets out the biggest scream. And it's so funny. It's so funny, bro, watching that happen, bro. Then lifts him up by his chest. Lifts him upside down. Lifts him up by his shirt, by his chest part, and just holds him up. Just holds him up. Tosses him into a wall. He ends up falling to his death. I don't think we can be mad at Zack Snyder anymore. I don't think we can be mad at Zack Snyder when this happened. I don't think we can be mad at Zack Snyder anymore. I don't think we can. And then Non tries to fly, and he ends up just falling to his death. Poor Non, man. You know, I feel like Non could have been a good guy. He could have been a good guy if he really just had the right people around him. He was just a follower. I feel bad. Rip Non, bro. Rip Non, man.
In the arms of the angel.
And the Lois Lane just gives Ursa the biggest right hook, and she just falls to her death.
You're a real pain in the neck.
Sorry.
And then we get to and then as you know, Superman just leaves Lex. I mean, we also don't see Lex go back to prison, but somehow he ends back up in prison. I don't know. We get to one of the more emotional scenes of Superman where Lois is crying because she can't tell anybody he is Superman. She can't talk about him being Superman, and she's the only one that knows he's Superman. So Clark ends up just giving her a kiss and then erasing her memory, which I was kind of like confused by, but I kind of also get. In the later movie is just kind of like we'll get to why I'm upset about that in the later movie, but I think this movie was very solid. It was very fun watching General Zod and his crew bully people all around. This is one of the more action-packed movies, one of the more movies. I really enjoyed this movie. I could watch this movie over and over and over again. I had a great time watching this. Had a fun time watching this. I think this is one of the better movies. I think this is one of the, I think this is one of the rare cases where the second movie is better than the first one, and it just you know sadly goes down from here. But I give this movie a solid 10 out of fucking 10. I give this movie a solid 9.5. I think this is one of the better Superman movies. I would have changed a couple things, obviously, but I think this is definitely one of the better Superman movies that Christopher Reeve has, and just he did great. They did great with this movie. Very, very good. Very, very good. Now that we're on to one of the weaker movies of the franchise, Superman 3. My God, this movie is just not good. It feels like the Richard Pryor show, honestly, just with Superman in it, because obviously it starts with Richard Pryor trying to get a job and they decline him, but then he ends up finding a card to be a computer scientist, and that leads us into outside of Metropolis, where we get basically like a Final Destination type of scene where like shit just happens randomly after a guy looked at a girl. It was kind of weird. It was really kind of weird. I think Metropolis is more dangerous than Gotham at this point. They need glasses or something, because my God, what was that? Then we go to the Daily Planet, where Superman's trying to pitch to Perry that he wants to go to Smallville to do a story on his hometown because they're having a high school reunion and he wants to go to. Eventually they let him go, but then we also find out that Lois Lane will be gone for most of this movie. She will be going to the Bahamas, basically. So the entire time she won't be involved in this movie at all, which is crazy. Like after what they did with her in the last movie, it's kind of crazy. As we see Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen going to Smallville, a chemical plant has an accident where they're having a fire. So Superman decides to save it by freezing an entire lake and then bringing it over to the factory. Which was kind of a cool thing to do. It was kind of creative with his powers. He could have just, froze it. But it's fun. It's fun and creative. I like that. Throughout the movie, we see Gus at the computer job that he had saw on the card, and he realized he wasn't getting paid as much, so he decided to scam them, hack their systems, and give himself $85,000. Insane. You're cooked. You're fried. You're done. Like you're cooked, bro. What? Anyways, but then we also see Clark at the dance with his high school crush, Lana Lang. Played by Anthony O'Toole, but she was also Martha Kent in Smallville, which is insane. It's a great connection. It's kind of cool. I do like their dynamic in this movie. It's definitely better than Lois and Clark. She actually shows interest in Clark more than Superman in this entire movie. It's a little bit weird in the middle, later when it involves Superman. And I like how we also are getting Clark to get his comeuppance. I like how we're also getting Clark to get his comeuppance on his past bully by outdoing him in the bowling, but then later in the movie kicking him out of Lana's apartment. In a funny way. It was kind of funny to see him do that. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of funny. I enjoyed that part. Then we go to Gus finally being caught by the billionaire who he stole money from, which is Ross Webster and his sister Vera, and his girlfriend Laura. I'm hoping that's how you say her name. But we get to them, and I genuinely do not like these characters. They're kind of replacements for Lex Luthor and his crew. They're just like dumber versions of them, honestly. It's kind of like lackluster. I don't like their characters at all. But throughout the movie, Webster makes Gus sabotage the weather in Cuba, send ships to the middle Pacific Ocean to keep cities from getting oil, and he also helps them build a machine that we'll talk more about later. But going back to the part after he caused the weather catastrophe in Cuba that Superman had stopped, he made Gus find out how to make kryptonite, and they made fake kryptonite basically that he thought would take out Superman, and it did not. Inevitably gave Superman an alter ego that made him evil. We basically got bully Superman, who's kind of like Jack Doherty if he had powers.
Man, look, bro, it's not even business, bro. We do our work.
Yeah, man, we make out, man. Island boy, man. Man, gay, man, say, man, man.
Ugh. Brother, what's that?
He's not even like evil per se. He's more like just a general nuisance. He made the tower pieces stand upright. He blew out the firing torch at the Olympics as well. And then he's just a drunk at a bar and flicks peanuts at glass bottles filled with alcohol, and then just burns the glass behind the alcohol stand, which is not really evil per se. It's more like you're just a general like nuisance, bro. It's like literally Jack Doherty with powers. You can't tell me that's not something Jack Doherty would do if he had powers like that. But then later in the movie, Gus comes up to him with a plan to so they devise a plan to send all ships. So he makes Gus use his computer tech skills, and he sends all the ships to the Pacific Ocean. But there's one fatal ship that just doesn't follow those orders. So they lure Lee to seduce Superman into destroying the ship because it's evil Superman. And then he comes back and they just get the Kraken. He gets the Kraken. Jeez. For some reason, I don't understand why that's in the movie, but you know, whatever. But also, let me just get to the fact that, off topic, they were gonna have Brainiac in this movie, by the way. This was originally going to be Brainiac, but they thought it was too wacky for this movie. And it's like, did you not see the last two movies? And then also, Gus slid off of a skyscraper and survived. How is that not goofy? like make it make sense, brother. You don't want to go with one of the most powerful, coolest characters that Superman has, but you want to go with a comedian. Which, I mean, Gus was a big act, a big household name back then, and he is a big comedian nowadays, especially like a legend. But it's also like evolving this entire movie around him was just like ridiculous when you could have someone so cool as Brainiac. Do you know how cool that would have been to have him in this movie, bro? Like, I just don't understand why they went with that. That didn't make any sense. It seems like I don't think this doesn't feel like a director's decision. It feels like a studio decision to put him in here to bring in more ticket sales. But the Superman franchise was doing fine. It was grossing a lot of money, but they want to go with randomness and go to a comedian and turn Superman into a comedy movie. I don't think that makes a lot of sense, brother. Moving on, Laurel's character ends up going to Metropolis to get away from Smallville because there's nothing left for her. So she goes to Metropolis. Her kid are in a taxi and they end up finding Superman at a bar, destroying it. And the kid kind of gives Superman words of encouragement, saying, "You can do it, Superman." And as he's flying off, he's losing control of his powers. He lands in a junkyard where him and Clark, where we have, I think, the best scene in the movie, where Superman and Clark can't fight each other. And I actually really like this scene. I thought it was a little goofy. It was a little goofy, but it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to watch. And then the ending where he kind of just gave him the Henry Cavill choke was kind of crazy. Moving on, Superman becomes himself again. He flies off to go find Ross and Gus and the gang and in the base operations with his supercomputer that he had asked Ross to build before, because during Superman fighting himself, he had asked Ross to build a supercomputer to do anything for Gus and anything for Ross. So they're finally there, their base of operations. Superman makes it there and he tries to stop them, but they end up shooting him with a whole bunch of rockets. They knock him back a little bit, but then he gets up, comes into the laboratory, but then gets hit by a ray of kryptonite. And Gus just like easily turns it off with a screw.
Here, you need some napkins, you feel me?
Man, what the fuck is you talking about?
What the fuck was that? I'm sorry, man. I wasn't thinking about it.
And like nobody stops him. Like whatsoever. Nobody even tries to stop him. Like he just unscrews it and just takes it out. And nobody tries to stop him until after he does it. But then magically the computer turns back on and it becomes sentient.
What?
You know what? It is what it is. Then we kind of get a cool design for Vera. Vera becomes the Psychobot. I think this is what they're calling it on the internet. Psychobot. It looks kind of cool, but it's very stupid. It looks cool, but it's very stupid. But Superman beats the robot in like seconds. I forgot to mention there's an acid in the beginning of the movie where the scientist said if it blew up, it would cause acid clouds in the sky. So Superman went back to that laboratory, got the acid, came back and destroyed the machine with the acid. But then he kind of like flies off as the machine's like destroying, the rubble starts falling down on people. He kind of just flies off with Gus and then leaves Laurel and Ross behind. It's like, oh, they'll go to jail. I don't think they're alive, Clark. I don't think they're alive, buddy. I think they're dead. I think they are entirely cooked. I think they're dead. They're gone. They're in heaven. They're in hell now, or wherever the fuck they are. Oh Jesus, this movie, man. But then he drops Gus off at a coal mine to give him a job, and he grabs a rock to turn it into crushes it enough to turn it into a diamond to give to Laurel because she had to sell her diamond to come to Metropolis. So at the end of the movie, we get Clark and Laurel and they're hanging out, and then her ex-boyfriend Brad comes in, tries to interrupt them, and he gets knocked back and gets sent into an elevator downstairs, and that's just the end of Brad. You know how I didn't talk about Brad this entire time? Because I just don't want to. I don't care enough about Brad. Brad is a nonsense character that I genuinely don't care about. But anyways, moving on. So we get to the ending part where Clark is back at the Daily Planet and Lois has come back from Bermuda. we also get Clark telling Lois and everybody that Lana is Perry's new secretary, and she shows off the new rock to Lois that Clark get her, and Lois looks kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie, she looked kind of jealous. She kind of like she a little upset. You had your chance, Lois. It's too late. It's too late. You lost your shot with Clark. Now you got a baddie. That's gonna come back in the next movie. She gonna come back in the next movie, right? Right? No, she doesn't. No. I give Superman a 3 out of 10 because this movie was just not good. From the sloppy comedic tone, it just wasn't funny. It was just more like cringe, especially from just trying to make this movie way too comedic than it should have been, because this movie was just not funny. It just wasn't funny to me that much. There were some little scenes here and there where I was like, I did a little chuckle, but most of these scenes were just kind of cringe, especially one of the most of the Gus scenes were just really, really, really cringe, especially when he was impersonating a military representative. It just didn't hit. It wasn't funny. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm ready to turn this shit off. I don't know. I just didn't like it, man. I really did not like it. It was just trying to be too comedic when it wasn't funny. Maybe it was funny back then. I don't know. But from now, I would never watch this movie ever again. Moving on. Now to move on to the last Superman movie, Superman 4: Quest for Peace. This movie was actually a little bit better than the third one. It was still a bad Superman movie, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot better. Christopher Reeve had definitely a good message for this movie about nuclear war, because the problems were going on during the time with America and the Soviet Union, which he was a big part of and he didn't like. So he thought that Superman could bring them closer together and would settle the score. Obviously, I mean, yes, I kind of see why he did what he did and why he made this movie, but it also did not hit well as he thought he would. In this movie, also, he didn't want to come back as Superman after Superman 3. He was kind of done with the Superman character. They had to convince him to come back by giving him another film. Start our movie out with Superman saving the astronauts from being swept into outer space, and then we go over to Clark, where he's in Smallville and he's trying to sell the farm. The salesman is trying to get him to sell it to an industry, but he says no, he wants to sell it to a real farmer. And during this time, obviously there were not that many farmers. It was going to be an old thing by then, but he still was very stern on selling it to a farmer. Then we see Lex Luthor get broken out of prison by his nephew. It was kind of a painful character to watch. I'm not gonna hold you. I just really didn't like this character whatsoever. Oh my god. But Lex Luthor breaks out by him using cool, kind of weird, wacky car to trap police and then damn near kill them.
Y'all come back and see us now, yeah? Launch.
By trapping them in it and remote controlling it. So that was kind of crazy. And then they get out. Lex Luthor escapes prison, and now he wants to settle the score with Superman. But during the earlier parts of this movie, we get a new sneezy salesman. He wants to change everything that has to do with the Daily Planet. It's going under, and he wants his daughter to be the executive publisher for Daily Planet. Lacey Warfield, played by Marley Hemingway, and then we have her dad, David Warford, played by Sam Wanamaker. Some of these guys have some weird names, bro. I just can't get over that, man. I can't pronounce your names, dog. I'm so sorry. I apologize if I botched your name. The stupidest thing to get the really big bad of this movie, other than Lex Luthor, is Lex Luthor goes to a museum where Superman has given the museum a piece of his hair. Yes, a piece of his hair. And Lex Luthor cuts out the hairpiece and takes it to clone a version of Superman that he can control. This is the dumbest way to make a character, I swear to God. Why would Superman would never do this? He would never do this. He would never give a museum. He would never give his museum a piece of his hair ever. That just what? I don't know. Whatever, man. Throughout the movie, we see a kid that wants Superman to take out all nuclear weapons and destroy them. It eventually gets Superman, and he takes out all nuclear weapons and throws them into outer space, into the sun, which was kind of cool. I kind of like that he did that. That's very in Superman's character. It shows that he cares about what the kid had to say. But what I didn't like in the middle of that was where Lois and Clark had a moment, and Clark showed her that he's Superman again for some reason, and then asked her a question that he already knew the answer to, and then just kissed her and made her forget again. Like, what was the point of that? Like, I'm so confused. Like, that shit don't make any sense. He kind of just showed her that he's Superman. Just take it away. I swear this movie's not worse than this third one, I promise you. Lex Luthor ends up making another powerful being like Superman. He goes to a military base. He attaches the being to a nuclear rocket, so because he knows that Superman will throw it into the sun. He launches the rocket, Superman throws it into the sun, and then we get kind of a cool sequence with Nuclear Man. Where he just it was kind of cool. I kind of like the way it looked. I kind of like how they did that. I mean, the character Nuclear Man is so bad. It's so bad. He doesn't even talk that much. He literally just grunts majority of the time. And it's just it's kind of such of like a brain dead character. He's like a if Non was the main villain of Superman 2. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. And I can't just get over his nephew. It's the most annoying nuisance character. It's like I'd rather have Otis back. I didn't even like Otis that much, but I'd rather have him back than his fuck ass nephew. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just can't. His nephew's like such an annoying character. And then Superman ends up having the random power to rebuild things out of thin air. They give this man some weird ass powers, bro. The first the kiss erasing thing, and now he can rebuild things out of thin air. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, man? Oh, this movie's so bad. I swear it's not worse than the fucking third one. But then we also have a sequence where Clark Kent and Superman are going on a date with Lois and Lacey, which I don't know how they didn't figure out. I mean, they kind of did a creative way of how they didn't find out, but it's also like I feel like in a movie in current times, they would have put 2 and 2 together. I'm holding up 4 fingers, but I mean 2. They would put 2 and 2 together and figure out that Clark Kent is Superman. I think they're both smart enough to realize that Superman is Clark Kent, and Clark Kent is Superman. But you know, it was back in the 80s, so we gotta let it slide. We just gotta let certain things slide. Now, if it was nowadays, we ain't gonna let that slide. Superman and Nuclear Man have a fight. Nuclear Man ends up taking the win out of that fight and scratches Superman in the neck and ends up causing him to be sick. From the beginning of the movie, Superman had to grab the crystal from his ship and he had got his powers back and he healed. But for some reason, Nuclear Man saw Lacey in the Daily Planet News and decided to go after her. Maybe he thought she was cute or something. It was a little weird. It didn't make any really sense why he went after her. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of didn't understand it at first. I still don't understand it. I don't know why I said that. I still don't understand it. I don't understand why he went after her. It made no sense. But he went after her. Superman came and stopped him. Ended up taking him to outer space, to the moon. Nuclear Man ends up beating him on the moon. Goes after Lacey. Takes her to outer space, by the way. Outer space. She should be dead. Her head should have popped like in Rick and Morty. She should be dead. She should be a goner. I don't know how she's alive. In the 80s. But then Superman ends up causing an eclipse. A literal eclipse. This is the point where we're just in wacky territory. Superman ends up causing an eclipse and stopping Nuclear Man's powers, because Nuclear Man's powers apparently come from the sun, and if he doesn't have the sun shining on him, he just is useless. And then Superman ends up taking her back to Earth somehow without her fucking dying, and then takes Nuclear Man and drops him into a nuclear plant, and now that gives the world back the energy. That's how he beats Nuclear Man. Just drops him in a nuclear plant. He's just cooked. Lex Luthor tries to escape with his nephew in a car, but then the car ends up getting lifted up, and Superman takes him back to jail. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. and then Superman flies in outer space, like in every other movie, which is always great to see, even though this is just a terrible movie. It wasn't hard to get through this movie. The movie was kind of alright, but this movie gets like a 5 out of 10. A 5 out of 10. Like, it just wasn't entertaining at all. This is like, I think it wasn't the worst one, but it is one of the worst. I think that they could have went an entirely different route with this movie. I love Christopher Reeve's message, but the movie was just not good at all. It just wasn't. It had alright moments, but it was just too all over the place. It was just too much BS that didn't make any sense. But anyways, I think if I had to rank the Christopher Reeve movies, number 2 is number 1. The first Superman is number 2. The third one is last. And then the fourth one is the third. But in part 2, we are going to be talking about Superman Returns, Man of Steel, BVS, and we're also going to be talking about Superman Legacy. I'm hoping to have this video out by Sunday, and hoping to have the next one out by the next Sunday. So I'm hoping you guys watched. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If there's any other movies that you would like me to talk about and do in this kind of video format, please let me know in the comment section. If you like me to do the Superman TV shows, I will gladly do those too. Just leave that in the comment section, and if we get enough built up around it, maybe I'll do it. But yes, the next video will be dropping next week. Hopefully, there's no problems. Hoping for the best, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Do what I should, like. Point, baby. Do what I could, like.